here he was in real time able to trade a trade where it was a bit of a tricky trade. And the best pain is the pain that pushes you to plan even better. Yeah, it was the pain of missing out, but he uses pain in the right way.
Alex, so, we often talk about how the best traders can take painful misses and turn that pain, that emotion into fuel, right? And there's no better example, I'd say, especially as of recent, than this copper trade that we had just last week. It started with a missed opportunity for a particular trader, especially that we're going to talk about on Monday. But by the end of the week, and certainly throughout that week, it became a masterclass in planning, preparation, and of course, strategy. Can we talk through the shift of what happened, not just on the trade, but also this trader's mindset and how, his mastery of preparation and planning kind of evolved?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this trade that all happened last week, was last week, the first week of August or the end of July, that we had a trade that came out on the Monday that influenced the copper markets. And I think it was a response from Chile, one of the largest copper producers in the world. And this trader missed the trade, and he realized that there were a few traders on the desk that made money. And this galvanized him, and it created some pain. And I want to talk about two aspects here: pain and competition. And pain, and you can have such things as a healthy pain and unhealthy pain, healthy competition, unhealthy competition. So what's healthy pain? Let's start. What's unhealthy pain? Unhealthy pain is you've had an experience, you've so-called messed up a trade opportunity, which you perceive as a good trade opportunity, and then you sadomasoch yourself. Your chimp starts telling you how useless you are. You get depressed, you go home, you get distracted, and you're spending all of this time just exposing yourself to bad self-talk. Now there's the other pain, and that other pain is it galvanizes you. And we speak about this in the Warriors chapter in Traders of Our Time. And this pain that galvanizes you, that pushes you into action. And the best pain is the pain that pushes you to plan even better. And so he missed this opportunity, and he asked himself, why did I miss this opportunity? Instead of saying, I missed it, I'm an idiot, and not moving forward with new plans. And we speak about this with Professor Angus Fletcher, especially in our new protocol and training skills. And we spoke about the last podcast, be the plan and not the plan. And this individual said, okay, I've missed this trade. I know other traders have made money. So he's also very competitive. He wants to be one of the best, if not the best, Axia trader. So, but to be the best, you have to be competitive for frameworks, processes, and systems, not competitive for P&L, is my view. Because if you're just looking at that end product, you're not going to know the framework that derived that end product. And so he went about and he researched everything about copper, about the board members, on the governors of, the Chile government. What are all the permutations in trade? How he situated his price ladder on his screen, how he organized his charting landscape, how he engineered his Twitter infrastructure, how he organized all elements. For him, if another opportunity came out, he was not going to miss it. And so that pain, and if you, any trader that's home, whenever you have pain of a missed opportunity, how do you leverage that pain? And the best way is to plan, and plan. And that's what he did. He went about and he executed this trade that happened whilst the FOMC was happening on a Wednesday night. So you can imagine the distraction of the most important event usually on a calendar within a month, when in the FOMC, the rate announcement, it has a systemic influence across all asset classes across the world. And here he was in real time able to trade a trade where it was a bit of a tricky trade, because it came out very similarly to when Trump came out with his pause trade, but ran a bit of a Chinese tweet before that. And this was a trade that they going to be signing the proclamations of the 50%, but it was only on the raw materials of copper. So to be able to decipher all of that, which he actually planned for. And so your planning and your imagination, your execution in real time is a subject of the scenarios you've discounted, and therefore able to act in real time in that moment of conviction, because we had a couple of traders lose a lot of money too during that trade. But he was hyper prepared. And what was interesting, we have a team, another team in the Baltic regions, and these are traders who are formerly spread traders, make also a very handsome six-figure. A handful of these traders do very well on that copper trade in FOMC. These are traders who had never acquired a skill set of outright future trade. They're relative value traders. They joined Axia. They connected into this intelligence field, pretty much how the student in Traders of Our Time, right in the beginning of his career, he always wanted to be a news trader, but he wasn't in that collective intelligence field to acquire that skill. So that's why, the ecosystem you connect into and the way you listen to your ecosystem is going to rapidly increase the rate of adoption of those skill sets. So we had a host of traders trading the copper trade, but it was a tricky trade. And so, as we speak with Angus Fletcher, it was a tricky trade. You had to have more imagination of how to deal with that trade in real time. And we speak about that in our new development program that we'll be working with Professor Angus Fletcher. But it's the power of transforming pain, and very much how the warrior has become one of the great futures traders in the industry. How he used pain, and we speak with Angus Fletcher, is how do you lean into your emotions as opposed to disassociation. Your emotions are there to tell you which part of your game you need fixing. A lot of people disassociate from their emotions, and therefore they're not listening to what needs to be fixed. And once you become educated in that space, that's what we're working on with our traders currently in an internal training protocol that we're doing with Professor Angus Fletcher and his work with the US Special Forces. So it's incredibly exciting. And so I probed this trader who didn't make money on the Monday, made money on the Wednesday, and I probed him and I said, give me the source code of what got you into action to plan so heavily. And once he understood it, it was the pain of missing out. But he uses pain in the right way.
And that's so pivotal moving forward, because again, like you said, so many traders, and again, I like to always reflect back onto the grads, because all the guys who are learning this journey and learning this process, they almost have this by nature default kind of go, oh, they lost it on this trade, or they took a hit, and they will write on their debrief, so this came out, I didn't do a good job, or I didn't, they write many different things. And my job is, what I'm always going over there and trying to remind them of, is think about all the other possible scenarios. Think about what you could have done better. Think about where you're actually, and even if you didn't even take the trade, and it's something that happened on that day, throughout after the Fed, I wanted to go and speak to the guys, and also on the NFP on the following Friday, which was, if you didn't take the trade, think about all the different scenarios and how you could have taken that trade. And it comes down to that being prepared and that planning protocol that, again, like you're saying, we're working with Professor Angus Fletcher, who it's really nice to kind of like now see how everything merges almost flawlessly, and to see the results of that. It was great to see. What I also loved about that particular day and that trade was, we were talking on in the risk group that we have internally, and one of the other mentors and coaches that's part of the risk team also mentioned there that this particular trade had come to him as well, and or spoken to him and said to him how he then came to ask how traders did with the Chile news. He realized that he missed it, and instead of getting down in the dumps about it, he took that action, which is building that strategy, which you said. Now, there's a real shift there, And although it's quite easy to say, oh, to plan, how important really is that shift? Because it's one thing to say, but it's something another thing to really feel, how you can go from that frustration to that imaginative preparation. And how is that? I mean, of course, it's so pivotal, but how is that so pivotal for growing into being an elite trader, and how important is that for your career?
If you wanted to compound yourself, think of all the energy depletion, energy waste. Every single time you have an experience in the market, an experience of a missed opportunity, of a loss, it's just such a great opportunity. And we spoke about it before. You have to have a gratitude for the loss, because now there's a learning experience. And for every trader, the one that grows the most rapidly is the one who knows how to experience a loss in a professional way, how to dissect a loss in a professional, how to invest in a loss in a professional way. And so, as opposed to the trader who has all this potential shame and grief, taking a fractured past, thinking about and then almost narrowing his future because how the loss is defining him as a character, instead of the loss defining of where do I need to improve my skill set. And so those ones who can not spend 95% of their time destroying themselves mentally of how useless they are, rather what is the learning in this loss. And I feel that's one of the most compounding effects of development as a trader.
Yeah. And I think as well, to add to that, that's where the weekends become so powerful for the traders, especially the grads. And it's being able to sort of pull yourself out from those emotions for a little bit, have a break away from the markets, and then to come in on the Saturday or the Sunday and to look back and look over your notes and go, right, okay, this is how I was feeling. I can feel that now, but I can also see it differently, and I can approach it